My name is Arya. I am the executive assistant to Julian, a successful CEO. Julian is very ambitious. He wants to marry the daughter of a rich partner to grow his company, but he has a deep secret. 12 years ago, in a poor village, he married a girl he didn't want. Today, he asked me to find that girl and end the marriage. He doesn't know the truth. He doesn't know that I am that girl. I am his stranger wife. I often look back at the past. 12 years ago, our village was a very lonely place. It was high in the mountains. Life was very hard and poor. Julian was 18 then. I remember his eyes. He always looked at the mountains and dreamed of the world outside. He hated being poor. We married because our parents made a promise long ago. I was only 14. I was a skinny girl with dark skin from the sun. I felt so small. On our wedding day, Julian did not look at me, not even once. To him, I was a symbol of poverty. I was a chain he wanted to throw away. Right after the wedding, Julian left. He took a small bag and went to a different country to work. He was a laborer. He worked very hard for 4 years and saved every cent. When he came back, he met smart people. They were his mentors. They taught him how to do business. Julian was fast and strong. He built an export-import company. At first, he sent a little money back home, but then he became too busy. Starting a business was difficult. He had no money to spare. He stopped writing. He forgot about the girl in the village. He forgot about his wife. He only wanted to move forward. But I did not give up. I used the money he sent to buy books. I worked in the fields and did many jobs to leave the village. I moved to the city. I studied every night and learned English. Finally, I got a master's degree in business. I changed my name to Arya. I whispered to myself, I will also be an excellent person. I will make him respect me. I applied for a job at a famous company. I wanted to prove my talent. I only knew the CEO was a young man named Julian. It is a common name. I did not think it was him. On my first day, I walked into the CEO's office. Julian was looking at some papers. Then, he looked up. I felt like the world stopped. My heart stopped beating. My hands turned cold. He looked older and very successful now, but I knew those eyes. I knew that face. It was the husband who left me 12 years ago. I stood there, frozen. Julian looked at me, but he did not recognize me. To him, I was just a professional assistant. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. I took a deep breath and squeezed my hands tight. I thought to myself, if I tell him now, he will only see a poor, pitiful girl. I will stay. I will make him admire my talent first. I did not keep my secret because I was scared. No, I kept it because of my pride. I set a challenge for myself. Julian once saw me as a backward burden from a poor village. I wanted him to admit that I am the best, most intelligent assistant he ever had. Every professional action I took was a brick. I was building a wall of respect. I wanted him to need me. Julian was preparing to marry the daughter of his biggest business partner. This partner was going to invest a lot of money into the company. Julian wanted to grow his business very fast. But there was a condition. We don't want any trouble, the partner said. Finish the marriage in your village. I want my daughter to be happy. Julian called me into his office. He handed me a file. Arya, go to this village, he said. Find a girl named Mina. Pay her anything. Just make sure she signs this paper to end the marriage. He looked at the window and added, I don't even remember her face. I only remember a skinny child in a torn dress. Please resolve this fast. I don't want this past to stop my future. I took the paper. My hands were shaking, but my face was like ice. I felt a fire of pride inside me. I whispered to myself. He has no idea who is standing in front of him. We worked very late one night in the office. Julian looked at me and sighed. "Arya," he said, "you are the most modern and intelligent woman I have ever met." "I wish my wife was even a little like you." I smiled sadly. "Maybe your wife has changed too, sir," I said. Julian shook his head. "No, she is just a simple, uneducated girl. She could never understand our world." I felt a silent victory. I thought, he is admiring the very woman he wants to leave. I wanted him to feel ashamed of his shallow heart when he finally learned the truth. Then, I met Isabella. She was the partner's daughter. She graduated from a famous university. She was elegant, but she had no empathy. She was very cold. When Julian talked about the village, Isabella laughed. "Why do you care about that dead place and those lazy people?" she asked. "Just throw some money at her. Those people only want money." She looked at me like I was a servant. She handed me her expensive bag. "Assistant, clean this small stain," she ordered. Then she turned to Julian. "Your assistant is good, but she looks too proud for a worker." Julian stayed silent, but I saw he was uncomfortable. He felt out of sync with her. He saw Isabella had a high education, but her heart was cold. While Isabella was insulting my home, I was secretly preparing small gifts for the children in the village. I knew the truth about her heart. The pressure of the business deal made Julian sick. He had a terrible headache. I made him a special herbal tea from my mountains. I brought it to his desk. Julian took a sip. Suddenly, his hand stopped moving. His eyes closed. He sat very still. "This smell," he whispered. "It is like a peaceful afternoon I tried to forget." I saw his shoulders relax. I knew he was remembering something deep inside. Finally, I gave him the message. "Sir, the people in the village said Mina does not want your money. She said if you want freedom, you must go there. You must stand in front of her and your ancestors to say goodbye." Julian looked at me. He looked worried. I took a deep sigh. I knew he was finally going to face the past he was running from. We sat on the bus for many hours. The road to the mountains was long and bumpy. Julian was very tired from all the stress. He closed his eyes and fell asleep next to me. I looked at the old mountains and I felt a deep sadness. I started humming a soft melody. It was an ancient mountain song from my childhood. Suddenly, Julian woke up. He was trembling. He looked at me with wide eyes. "Arya," he whispered. His voice was shaking. "That song. Nobody in the city knows that melody. My mother used to sing it to me. How do you know it?" I felt my heart racing against my chest. I knew I was in danger. I thought to myself, I must stay calm. I looked at him and spoke coldly in English. "I researched the culture of this area for our trip, sir. I studied the local music to understand the people." Julian stared at me for a long time. I saw the doubt in his eyes. I felt his eyes on me, searching for the truth. But then, he took a deep breath. I knew he was confused. He knew I was a genius with languages. He thought it was just my talent. He sat back and looked out the window. He was silent. I took a deep sigh and watched him. He was breathing heavily, and his hands were moving nervously. I felt a strange tension between us. I knew something inside him was waking up. The ghost of his past was calling his name. He was restless for the rest of the journey. We stood in the old village hall. The air smelled like wood and dust. Julian put a large stack of money and the legal paper on the table. He looked at the village elders with a cold face. "I want you to confirm that I am single," he said. "I want to marry my future wife. My marriage here 12 years ago was a mistake. It was just a child marriage. We have no love for each other. I felt a cold stone in my stomach, but I kept my face professional. The elder looked at Julian and nodded politely, but before Julian could say another word, the old man turned to me. His eyes were full of respect and joy. He walked toward me and spoke in our local language. "Mina, you have finally returned. The children have been asking for you. They miss you so much. Do you have any gifts for them today?" He reached into his bag and gave me a small wooden bird. It was a village memento. I felt my hands trembling as I took it. Julian was frozen. I knew he was confused. He looked at the elder, then he looked at me. At that moment, the light from the window hit my arm. Julian's eyes moved to a small, white scar on my wrist. He stopped breathing. I thought to myself, he finally sees it. That scar was from 12 years ago. I was cutting grass for his sheep so they would be fed when he left. I cut my hand, but he was too busy with his dreams to look at my wound. Now, he couldn't move his eyes away. Julian's voice was a whisper. He spoke in our mother tongue, and his voice was breaking. "Mina, is it you? Is it really you?" I felt my heart pounding, but I stayed strong. I looked him in the eyes and spoke in English. "I am Arya, and I am here to help you sign the freedom you want so much." The room was silent. I took a deep sigh to calm my soul. Julian didn't know the truth. He didn't know that I had been visiting the village secretly for years. I wanted to help the children get an education. I wanted them to be smart so they could help the village. I wanted them to break free from those outdated, backward traditions. I didn't want them to be like the old me. Julian sat down slowly. I saw his eyes were full of pain and shock. I felt his world crashing down around him. He looked at me, but he saw a woman he never knew. I stood there in silence and let the emotions sink in. He realized that the woman he admired was the same girl he had abandoned. Julian looked at the legal agreement on the table. I knew that paper represented Isabella and his cold business world. Then, he looked at me. He saw my soul, my empathy, and all my hard work. I felt his eyes searching for my forgiveness. He finally realized a bitter truth. Isabella was just a tool for his business, but I was the woman he had admired for 2 years. Julian's hands were shaking. Suddenly, he grabbed the agreement and tore it into many pieces. He did it right in front of the village elders. I thought to myself, he is finally waking up. He watched the white pieces of paper fall to the floor. He understood everything now. Isabella had the education to build big buildings, but Arya had the heart to build a real home. I knew that if he married Isabella, he would always be running from his past. He would live in a cold and lonely world. But with me, he could finally be himself. The way I loved our village was like a mirror. It showed him how empty Isabella really was. He looked disgusted by his original choice. Julian turned to me. His eyes were red and full of tears. I saw the pain on his face. "I was wrong," he said. His voice was low and very heavy. I ran after success, but I did not know that real success was standing right next to me. He took a deep breath. I knew he was speaking from his soul. "I plan to marry a business partner," he continued. "But now I only want to marry the right woman. I will not marry anyone, if it is not you." I stood there, in silence. The room was very quiet. I could only hear the sound of the wind outside. I took a deep sigh. I saw Julian's shoulders drop. He looked like a man who had finally found his way home. I felt a strange mix of joy and sadness. The boss who ignored me was gone. Now, only my husband was standing there. I whispered to myself, "It took 12 years, but he finally sees me." We walked together along the dusty path of our village. The mountains looked peaceful in the sunset. Julian tried to take my hand. I felt a small spark of the past, but I knew I had to stay strong. I pulled my hand away quickly. My heart was racing, but I looked him in the eyes. Julian, I whispered, I work for you because I am talented and smart. I am not here because of a piece of paper. I am not here for your pity. I took a deep sigh and looked at the old wooden houses. I worked hard for 12 long years to become this woman. If you want me to be your wife, you must court me again. You must treat me like a stranger and win my heart. Julian stopped walking. I saw the determination in his eyes. He didn't look like a cold CEO anymore. He smiled a real warm smile. I will do exactly that, Arya, he said. Even if it takes another 12 years, I will not give up on you. I stood there in silence for a moment. I felt a heavy weight lift off my shoulders. We walked back to the car, but we did not speak. We let the silence breathe between us. Julian kept his word. He canceled the business marriage with Isabella. He lost the big investment, and many people said he was crazy. He chose to move slower in business, but he was finally free. He started dating his executive assistant. Every morning, I thought about how much our lives had changed. He sent flowers to my desk. He took me to dinner. He actually listened to my stories and my dreams. 1 year later, we had a magnificent wedding in the center of our village. People came from all over the mountains. This time, it was not because of a forced promise or an old hutuk. It was because of a deep love between two mature people. I looked in the mirror on my wedding day. I was no longer that skinny, dark girl standing in the shadows. I knew I was the queen of my own life. But Julian did something even better. He invested his money to build a large agricultural factory right in our poor village. Now, our people have good jobs. Young girls don't have to marry at 14 because of poverty. They have schools and a bright future. I felt so much joy as we walked through the new factory together. I knew we had finally changed our destiny. We turned our painful past into a beautiful future for everyone. Our village was no longer a place to escape, but a place to call home. Success is not about how far you run from your past. It is about how much you grow from it. A true partner is not a business contract. They are a soul who understands your journey. I realized that our love was finally real. I whispered to myself, I am home. I am Arya. I proved that a stranger can become the love of your life twice. Arya's story teaches us a powerful lesson. True self-worth always comes from within. She did not wait for Julian's money. Instead, she built her own value. I know that life can be difficult sometimes, but Arya's secret weapon was not her beauty. It was her education and her English. Because she studied hard, she could stand in front of Julian as an equal, not a victim. Your journey of learning English today is just like Arya's journey. It is your key to freedom and respect. Every new word you learn makes you more powerful. I thought about this deeply. If you invest in your mind, you can change your destiny. For the Julians in the world, remember this. The person who saw you at your lowest is the one who deserves to be at your highest. Don't sacrifice a diamond for a temporary business deal. Real wealth is having someone who knows your true name and still loves you. I felt that this is the most important truth. Be patient, work hard, and never forget where you came from. Comment Queen if you love Arya's strength. Like and subscribe for more emotional stories. See you next time.